for, and I think that at least portions of the community at large have been asking for. But, one of the other conversations that I've seen come out of this is like, why do we want to go back to 11 content? This is FF14. Why is this something that's even remotely desired?
I don't think it'll be the same.
No, it's definitely not going to be the same, but like we can see the influence already, even just hearing the description of the system.
Obviously, there were things from 11 in a design aspect that people liked, so it's not like just going back to something that pulls a little bit of inspiration from it means we're going back to 11 and standing around in fucking king zones all night long as much as Nika fucking wants to.
Right. Well, I'm not going to say I want Nizul Isle. I just want a dynamic event, something that changes every time I go in. That is like it's the underlying concept that we're looking for.
Besides, they've already done Einherjar like 18 times at this point.
Oh my god.
It's Einherjar.
Einherjar.
It is Einherjar. It's Einjar.
It's
Einherjar so fucking hard that loot drops from the sky.
Jar Jar is the Sith?
No, that too.
Well, only in Skuro's mind.
Only in Skuro's mind.
But no, I think that the comparisons to both of those systems are fair. But, as I said, the other conversation coming out of that is like, why would we even want content like this? And
because it's new and it's different.
Fun. And it was something that everyone thought was fun.
I don't know. I think that there might have been people that didn't enjoy Nizul.
Well, they can
fuck
11. off.
Well, I mean, there probably were, but I think it was a minority, and I think it was probably people who didn't have a good group in general. I think that the overall consensus was that it was good.
If they were people who who just flat out hated the ideas of Nizul Isle and salvage, good. Go do every other event in this game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it's I don't know. Like I think that this is. I liked the FF11 presentation of content overall, and I think that that game did things very well, and it motivated me in ways that FF14 doesn't.
Yes.
And so when I try to compare FF11 and FF14, I look at what types of things and what types of situations motivated me the most to get more out of my playtime, because I still feel like in my heart that
as small as it is,
that I do, I was more motivated by 11, that I did get more enjoyment out of 11, and so in some ways I seek to recreate that in 14.
Motivation and enjoyment do not go hand in hand. I would like to point out.
Yeah,
not always, but it was like it's sort of the same enjoyment that I get now, because I've been able to appreciate it and come to a place where I enjoy the game out of Dark Souls 3.
I think what they need to do, or what they're doing currently, because, when Diadem was first coming out, we were praising it in the same way that we're praising Palace of the Dead right now. But even though it had somewhat of this randomized dynamic to it, there were other aspects of it that fell short, and that was the incentivization, right? So the problem is they can't just look at one thing from 11 and be like, oh, people love this, so let's redo it. It's the same thing as fucking Warner Brothers looking and being like, oh, Deadpool was rated R and did awesome. Let's make everything else rated R. Like, that's not why it did good. You have to look at all the aspects of it, right? If they take a new, cool, dynamic system like this and put it in, and it's completely self-contained with no rewards, you're right. The Diadem's gonna happen all over again. Why do we want to fucking do it, right? So you have to look at the multiple aspects of it and make sure that it has enough to draw people in.
Yep.
They have to be able to enjoy what they're doing, but they also have to walk away from it and have something tangible to be like, I made progress today.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you look at Nizul Isle, you got your piece of gear every 20 levels. You could do the boss fight to get a piece of gear, and when you got to floor 100, you got the runic key, which would let you get your new weapon skill. So those were both major things, both to encourage you to climb and to farm. So it brought people back to it for different reasons. Can they deliver on something like that in 14?
I think they can, because they've done it before. And that's the thing, is that, when we say, look to 11, I don't think that anyone, you're right. Like you, Kahlo, you had joked on Nika for, one out of by fighting hard monsters.
I feel like I'm just so jaded when I think back on motivation from 11. Maybe that's part of my problem with my blindfold right now. Like, I feel so much more enjoyment and fun coming from 14 simply because my motivation for playing 11 was, if I don't show up, I lose DKP. DKP. Like that was my motivation, and I'm like, I
brought to the table that people liked, and this is one of them. Nyzul and Salvage was probably two of the most celebrated pieces of content that weren't just zones that you go into to get high-level rewards out of. Sky, Sea, those were high-level zones that you just got rewards out of by fighting hard monsters.
I feel like I'm just so jaded when I think back on motivation from 11. Maybe that's part of my problem with my like blindfold right now. Like I feel so much more enjoyment and fun coming from 14 simply because my motivation for playing 11 was if I don't show up, I lose DKP. Like that was my motivation, and I'm like, I hate this. I hate every. Like
that was, but that was sort of self-imposed by.
Yeah, what do you?
It was by the community, and that's the only reason. Like I did Ground Kings. I was like, well, I'm online, and if there's a Ground King, I'm not allowed to do anything else.
You had a choice, though. You had a choice whether or not to do that because you could choose to
then I would be kicked from the link show.
You know what, Nika? There is a email we're going to read later in the show that is so relevant to this point right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's on you. Like it's on you. You could have found another group.
Yeah.
You could have made another group. I mean, there were a bunch of different actions that you could have taken being put in that situation that you didn't like.
11 is that because it was also competitive, like you can't really make another group. When there's like 5 in-game link shells who all bought for the Kings, like you cannot make another group.
You know what? You know what this is? It's your comeuppance, Nika. This is what you get for cheesing a world first by logging out during Pandemonium.
Oh my God.
Lol.
But I mean, to be fair, Nika, every time we go back and play 11, you seem to have fun.
Because we're just doing the story. The story of 11 is one of my favorite things. I would never go through and do like some of that, whatever that. I don't even know.
But
maybe you were playing wrong then.
But
Nika.
that's exactly my point, Nika. Is that when we talk about FF11, we don't have those types of memories. We don't have because we didn't put that kind of expectation on ourselves.
We just played for
I
fun.
I was just jaded about the whole thing. Like I admit that fully.
You played it wrong, Nika.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think I played it wrong. It's just that in the long run, I look back now and realize how much time I wasted, and I look at the game I play now and I see how much more I get out of it. Which is where I hope they don't like fuck up going forward.
Does that sound like she's playing it wrong?
But I spend so much less time on FF14 than I did on 11.
And I more reward, which is awesome.
Well, but I look forward to it less. Like there are some times when I log into 14 and I'm like, fuck this. Like it feels like a chore sometimes.
Last night after I did Beastman Dailies, like I wanted to play more, but I'm just like,
yeah,
there's nothing to do.
Exactly.
No, I'm not even saying that that's a bad thing because when I log on, like when I go home and log on today, do the exact same things. I'm excited about it.
But the thing is I never had that reaction to 11. 11, it was like I would constantly be thinking about 11 throughout my day.
Hold on. Even when it was
You want to say hold on again?
Hold on. Even when it was time to log in.
Hold on.
And look for party as a level 55 dark for another 3 consecutive hours.
No,
but you were looking forward to that?
See, I think part of it had to do with, 1, we were younger. 2, it was most of our like first in-depth MMO, most of us, not all of us, and that it offered something different than other video games that we played. Now we have a lot more life experience, we have a lot more MMO experience, and we have a lot more going on in our personal lives, and it changes the way we look at an MMO.
I don't know. There is something in. See, that's the thing is I can't put my finger on it. I've thought a lot of. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this too, and there's no one thing that defines it. It's just that FF11 had some kind of quality about it that made me much more engaged and immersed in the world.
I think it had to do with the time, though.
And and it might be.
Because I feel like say 14 was the game that was first, and then 11 came out now with us like being older and being whatever. I just think it wouldn't be the type of game we would play anymore.
I don't think that's true.
I'm going to disagree as well. And now, had 11 been Aniro's first game, I might have said it's the Magic Year first MMO, but he played so many other MMOs beforehand that I think he kind of debunks that theory. And thinking about it, I'm not really sure that I can even put a finger on it either. I think it's just the type of investment that you had to make for FF11. I think you just poured more of yourself into it. And you know what? Going from FF11 to WoW now to FF14, it's probably that idea. It's that idea that those investments are invalidated after so long that like at this point, if you were still playing 11, when you quit 11, like you're losing 11 years or 12 years, however long it was out, worth of progress, right? Whereas if we were to quit 14 right now, we would just be losing the progress we've made since the last patch, because before that was already lost.
Oh shit! Actually, that's a great fucking point.
That is a good point.
That's a really, really good point. I never thought of it like that.
You know, that is a good point. Like, when I think about it, like, do you remember when the whole, like, salvage dupe happened and, like, so many people got banned? Like, I was thinking the lore that may possibly exist, that my Linkshell had never heard of that, because I'm like, if my Linkshell had heard of that, I would have been roped into doing it, and I would have done it, and my character would be gone. I remember sitting and thinking, like, I would quit the game. I would not start again.
Well, first of all, you wouldn't have a choice. Yeah, exactly.
No. You can make a new character or whatever and start over.
Yeah.
But
imagine
like, I was
starting
thinking,
over
like,
in 11 right now.
I was trying to think of like, oh my god, I've done C, I've done, I've done Limbus, I've done all these things. Like, I can't do that again. Devastated, but it wouldn't be as hard to catch back up.
You'd be caught back up in 3 months.
And not even that, but I mean, like, if you just decided that you were done with the game and you didn't want to play because you were bored with it, and then you stepped back in, like, not even, like, stepping back into where your character was right now, you would only have the content between 3.25 and wherever you pick the game back up to cover. Like, Kahlo's exactly right. You lose a character in FF11, you lose all of that kind of, those milestones that you get completing COP, because that gave you access to things that other characters didn't have.
You only lose a patch in 14.
Absolutely. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That is a very, very good point.
The Kazam keys.
Oh, fuck those things.
Your airship pass. Exactly. Yeah.
Limit break quest.
Dude, exactly. Yeah, like you did. You lost a lot of legitimate character progress that you would never feel. You
turn in 500 Yagado bean necklaces.
Yeah, you would never feel that on 14. And I don't know, like, that's, to me, like...
But to be fair, a lot of that is just because the grind was so long, and we know that in nowadays day and age, nobody likes those grinds for every single reward. So I think 14's trying to find that balance where there's enough reward without the feeling that, like, the only way to accomplish something is by grinding for 3 months.
Well, that's fair. But I remember looking for every possible spare moment to play 11 because I knew that the stuff I was going to get done was going to matter forever.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I'm like, okay, well, I could finish this patch, or I could wait a patch, do other stuff, and then catch up immediately anyway.
Yes. Even if they did have big grindy things, Nika, so that it felt like an accomplishment, the next patch, that accomplishment is gone.
It's eased. The requirements for that is eased.
And people can say stuff like, "Oh, but you did it, before it wasn't. It doesn't matter."
Yeah,
because
it doesn't.
It doesn't actually matter to you now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at people in 11 today, all of them still keep their god gear or their scorpion harness or their noble's tunic, all those pieces of gear that aren't useful anymore. No one
Square Enix needs to be considering when designing new content for FF14. Like, I mean, and I get that FF11 was built with an entirely different mindset in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you have a progressive eye level, it's very difficult to make that happen.
But I think that we've identified ways where you can make it feel like there is a sense of progression beyond just the next 2 patches. And that, I think, is something that is essential to the MMO genre, and something that when designing new content for FF14, like, I mean, and I get that FF11 was built with an entirely different mindset in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you have a progressive eye level, it's very difficult to make that happen.
But I think that we've identified ways where you can make it feel like there is a sense of progression beyond just the next 2 patches. And that, I think, is something that is essential to the MMO genre, and something that FF14 has not done well with and has overlooked. So, they have an opportunity to correct some of the mistakes that they've made with 4.0, and it's just going to be interesting to see if they end up doing that, or if we just get another repetition and a recitation of what we've gotten the last 2 iterations.
You guys obviously make fun of me and Juxta for it, but I think the only connection to the game that we have that is anything like what we had in Final Fantasy XI is actually with our glamour because I have 2 retainers that are full of nearly completed sets. Like, that really is kind of my point of playing the game, is completing all these glamour sets, even if I don't actually wear or use all of them. There's some ugly fucking gear out there.
Yeah.
But the way I arrange it, it's 5 across, right? So I open up my retainers and there's a missing slot. I need to fill that fucking thing in, and that's something that from patch to patch is always growing for me.
You fill that hole. You fill it.
I'm gonna fill it.
Hold on.
And you're gonna help me.